Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the 10th episode of the Not a Classroom podcast. My name is Kevin, and today I'm talking with my friend Dominic. We discuss the circumstances behind him graduating high school early and deciding not to go to college, as well as modeling for Tyler the Creator's brand Golf, and moving to LA shortly after graduating high school. We also go into the struggles and joy behind the passion of making music and what goes into that, as well as discussing some different philosophies around success and how different people can look at it. But again, I'd like to start with another quote, and this one is from Thich Nhat Hanh in No Mud, No Lotus. When we are full of fear, we are often completely focused on preventing the event we dread, and we forget that joy is also possible even in an unpredictable world. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. All right, so Dominic, tell me a little bit about yourself to get us started.
My name's Dominic Corridori. I'm 21, grew up with Kevin, and I'm a musician, and
yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah, I guess that's how I would describe myself. That's what I do.
I think one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is you've had somewhat of a different life path from a lot of the other people I've had on, because I met a lot of them through school, but we've known each other for a really long time, all the way back to, I think, elementary school.
Yeah.
And we sort of reconnected in the pandemic, and that was a whole thing. But you graduated high school early and had a pretty different life trajectory and didn't go to college. But was graduating high school something you expected to do in that early stage? Sorry, I phrased that wrong, but
Yeah. I pretty much my thought process was that there wasn't really a thought process, honestly, because I had what I had and I have what I want to do with my life, like in my mind, like always. And I've really thought that like nothing that I can do is going to really stop me from if I want to achieve what I want to achieve. Mm-hmm. So like I was like, oh, I never thought about graduating high school. I just figured no matter what I was going to do what I wanted to do, I would eventually get there. But graduating high school was pretty easy because, I wasn't taking any like crazy extracurricular like activities or anything like that, except for like band, I guess. But, like it's pretty easy to graduate high school. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like you don't really have to even try super hard to graduate, but there was classes that I did really like, but honestly, I never thought about it one time. I knew I had to graduate high school, but it wasn't like, I wasn't scared that I wasn't going to graduate high school, I just didn't really think about it, to be honest.
Did you think you would get through it early, like a year early?
No, that's also the thing that's funny. So the story with that was that I, honestly, it's like I said, I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't paying attention when they would come to us, like at the beginning of I don't remember, it was at the end of the year, and they would tell us like, next year when you're scheduling your classes, you can like not take a class, like you can have a release period, and like you could have a release period. And I just didn't pay attention, so I just filled up all my classes like where a release period should have been,
Mm-hmm.
And like the honest truth. And I did that, and I passed all of my classes except for algebra. I failed algebra twice.
Oh no!
But I did summer school and like got an A in it.
Nice.
And so they're pretty much like my counselor, like whoever that was, like talked to me and like, Dominic, like just so you know, you have all of your credits. Like, and this was when I was when I was a junior, and like you have all your credits except for like you're missing one like credit or whatever, or 3 credit, whatever like it was for one class. And I was like, really? That's crazy. Like, really? Okay. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, like let me take a summer school class and I'll graduate early, and I just ended up doing that. Summer came around, like I finished, I believe this was 2018. 2018 was when I technically graduated, because you were class of 2019, right?
Yeah.
So I graduated in 2018, even though I was class of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
But technically I'm class of 2018, which is weird. But all I had to do was I ended up taking a like summer school class pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, hopefully my dad that's not listening to this. I had paid someone like $200 to do the class for me.
Oh my God.
They did the class for me online, and I graduated high school.
Jesus.
That's the honest truth about it. I feel like an evil person for saying this, because I feel like everyone that you've had on your podcast is really smart. I'm not saying I'm not smart, but like,
I mean,
it's like the honest truth about everything.
I think people just have ChatGPT to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's like,
now.
well, the thing is like now, especially, you have no excuse for not graduating high school, because like if you really don't want to do anything, like, and I don't suggest not doing anything. I actually thought some stuff in high school was really great and fun and I loved high school actually, but certain classes, like I loved learning about history, but there was other things where it was just like, it wasn't that I didn't like care about learning it. It was just like,
there's some pretty stupid shit.
Yeah. Like, but also at the same time, I'm not complaining. I'm like, oh, we shouldn't have to like learn this. You know what I mean? But also I'm just like, I can only give it my best effort. Like, this is this much effort that I can give it, because I don't like, this is just not what I feel like I'm like here for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like if people have there's probably circumstances out there that would make things really difficult for people and stuff, depending on like their home. But after high school, did you feel like you wanted to continue going to school, or did you want to like go to college, or have you had that desire in the past or now?
At that point, when I had graduated, or like even before I graduated, I didn't really have any interest in it. I mean, I'm interested in everything. Like, I was like, it's interesting to think about going to college, but was I interested in actually going? No.
Yeah.
At that point. But it's funny how it's kind of changed. Like now that I like working and stuff, and I'm like looking at like, oh yeah, like it doesn't really, like, maybe I don't necessarily gain any like worldly knowledge from going to college or something like that. Not that I think that you wouldn't if you went to college, or that you wouldn't if you went to college, but
there's other ways to get,
but it opens up doors for you that if you because I didn't go to college, I see people at my like that have different positions at work and stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's because they went to college, you know what I mean? And like, I still believe I can go above and beyond, but that just means I have to put in a little extra work, because I do also, I skipped a checkpoint, you know? Yeah. And that's fair enough. Like, those people do deserve that because they went through school. I didn't go through school. So it doesn't mean I'm less smart or intelligent, but it, like if I was hiring someone and I saw this person's able to go through this process of life, it definitely is an indicator of at least something, regardless of how you feel about it.
What sort of, did you feel like you faced certain unique challenges because of not going to school?
I don't know. I haven't felt those yet. I feel like I definitely, like, socially, I like, because people, like, lots of people meet each other through like college, and like when someone's talking to me about college, it's like a foreign thing. Like, I genuinely don't know anything about college. So like when someone's explaining something about how college works, it's kind of weird, because like I don't know anything about it, and I don't really know how the process of college works, But as I've gotten older, it is interesting. Like my friend Ian, or I guess our friend Ian, he went to like trade school, like UTI in Arizona, to be like a like professional mechanic, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You also have your, like, you learn other things besides just like working on cars. But I was like, if I wanted to work on cars, which I don't, but if I did, I'd be like, that would be a pretty cool experience, like sort of like hands-on stuff. I like the idea of like trade school.
Why don't you want to work on cars? You spent your time there?
Yeah, I thought I did for a little bit. I was working on cars for a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is, like, for the first week, I was like, this is sick. And then, like, your knees start hurting, and, like, I was like, dude, what? Yeah.
You're like 21.
Yeah, I'm 21, I already have back problems. Like, this is not cool, you know? But, yeah, I mean, I love cars, but, you don't necessarily want to have a occupation in your hobby all the time.
Yeah. with the thing you're saying in your social dynamic, do you think you look at social dynamics differently than people who went to school? Like, do you make friends differently?
Yeah, I've kind of sort of had like the same like crew of like little like friends that I've like kind of rolled with always, like, and they're always like the way that our relationship has worked with the friends that I like have, like it's never been based around like we all like we're at a place together.
Mm-hmm.
College is very much like that because you're all at a place together, and in some instances, like you're a roommate with somebody or sharing a dorm with somebody. You're kind of forced to have this relationship, and whatever comes of that, like comes of that. My relationships have mainly formed like weirdly like through the internet or like people who I have like found to have the same interests as me and stuff like that. So that's kind of who has stuck around, and like they kind of like you kind of go along and see like what like that stand the test of time of being your friend, like just by like how much in common we are. I don't know, because maybe I feel like what would you think about like your friends that you met in college, like what like friends like even people who you don't talk to on a regular basis, but someone who you would say like I'm acquaintances with this person or I'm friends with this person, like what do you feel like holds that relationship between you guys?
It's funny because as you're saying that, it's a lot of the same things.
Yeah,
because the relation in a situation where somebody's living in a dorm together, if they don't have any sort of similar interests or I guess personality traits, I suppose people can get along pretty well even without that, but it's the people that are living in a dorm together. Sometimes it ends up really bad. I know a lot of people who have not stayed connected with their roommates. I had a great roommate my freshman year, the shout out Nick, but but I haven't really kept up with him at all. And it's like he was a very respectful person. I was happy to have such a good experience with that. But I think sometimes I wonder if going to college, you're basically forced into so many social situations that you almost forget. It's also possibly a symptom of the pandemic, but I think sometimes it can be a little bit harder to figure out how to like organically make friends in certain scenarios. But I think at the same time being put in so many social situations, it works those muscles as well. So it's kind of a complicated mixed bag, but it actually sounds like there's a lot of similarities probably.
Yeah, there probably are. And like, well, I guess the thing that I'll say that is like a big thing is that like I noticed at work when we're just like say like at my work when there's like conversation going on about like just like if we're not working and we're just to start talking about stuff, the people that went to college or the people that went to the same college, like they have lots of stuff, like they have a thing that they can talk about. We went to the same place where they know each other from that, which can be the same if you didn't go to college. Like but the thing with college is that you're there for 4 years or 2 years or whatever, and so like you guys all have that shared all have that shared experience. And so like I don't have any like, and so where the thing comes in for me is like I don't have anything at all to add to like such a huge like topic of conversation or like such a huge part of people's lives. Like maybe the biggest part of people's lives at this point was going to college. And so I'm not that I'm like, oh, I'm left out, but like I'm left out of that, so I can't relate at all. So it's just an interesting, it's not a negative or it's not a positive, I would say. It's just an interesting dynamic because, like.
Is it an isolating feeling at times or is it?
I wouldn't say it's like isolating, but it's definitely like, like everybody knows about like there's stuff that happens in school. Like I can say this with high school and I'm sure it's the same, but like extreme in college. Like there's certain incidents that happen in college or like in high school, like everyone knows that this guy did this, and it's funny and people can laugh about that, or everyone can remember this one night that was really fun and stuff like that. And then people connect, like everyone kind of knows each other, a lot, or like maybe not everyone, but social, like people who are very social, like they kind of
there's like a web,
lots of people, and like I don't know any of these people, you know what I mean? Like I know the people I went to high school with, and like that's about it. I didn't get introduced to that like second like tier of like the social web, you know, like I'm isolated from that, you know, not that it's a bad thing, but that's just the way it is.
Funny because I think a lot of the times the social web in a way kind of breaks down and like certain connections fade and certain ones kind of rebuild or get wider. And I don't know, there's a whole lot of stuff with, I think, friendship dynamics, especially I'm sure in a workplace, gets kind of different because things are more official than college. College is still a lot of like testing the boundaries. But I guess with this path that you've gone down, have you had any revelations that you feel like you've went back on, or things that have stuck with you?
I think the weird thing is that like I kind of felt like I had to grow up like mentally more quickly than others, and that's not like I'm not trying to be insulting or like
No, I mean it's fair.
Speak like I'm some sort of elevated mind or whatever. But like I because of that, like I don't know, like I'm in this thought process where I feel like a lot of people, like there's some people that think they like know everything already, and some people that like a lot of people think that they know everything at some point. Or not a lot of people, but some people think that. I'm on like the weird spectrum where it's like I know I don't know everything, but all I know is like my instinct, and that's just kind of a revelation, I guess. Like all I have is my instincts, you know, in life, and I know how like to trust your gut with stuff, and like I know that if you really believe in something, you can make it happen. And it's, I guess I've just felt like that for like you know, a long time now, and nothing about like the way that I've like lived my life really has like changed necessarily, because I adapt to like things, like knowledge that I get, you know. If something happens, you know, like you just take that on, and like I just go into every day like I don't really know, like I don't know what, like I could get a feeling, you know, I can get my intuition on like how I should navigate the situation, or how I should like go about this thing, or whatever the situation may be. But my mindset pretty much is that like I don't know anything, you know, like I really don't know anything, you know, and I like to absorb information and stuff, but at the end of the day, like I don't know, I don't even know really how to put it into words, but like I don't expect anything almost. I'm not stupid. Like I know if something's like I can read a situation very well, but at the same time, like people like to think stuff in life is like black and white, and sometimes maybe it is, but I feel like everything's pretty much a gray area.
Yeah.
There's, you know, not everything's black and white, and so I try to go everything with an open mind, and like the thing is I don't. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't try to do anything. Like it's just I kind of just like exist like that. Like I just go in everyday life like just let's see what happens. You know.
Is that, I want to talk about LA. Is that kind of how you ended up down in LA?
Yeah. So to like go back to where I graduated high school, I was like, I want to start making money because I want to buy things, you know, and I want to have fun experiences and stuff. And so I ended up like moving down there. I ended up getting like the situation worked out. Like this should not have happened, but I like got some like tech job, and like I was like 16 or 17, like living down in LA, you know, and I had this nice tech job where it was like under the table, and I was making like $15 an hour. I think, what was it? It was like $15 an hour, but it was under the table, so it was like I wasn't getting taxed for it, obviously, and so I was making pretty good money for myself, and so I was just like, you know, I just want to go down here and see where I can get myself, and see what I can do, and see what I can make happen, you know, because I know whatever I put my mind to, I can do it. But let's just see what happens. I don't want to be in Oregon right now. I want to go down there, so I went down there. That's really what it was, you know.
I believe you ended up modeling, right, for golf.
Yeah. So that
was after the tech job, though, right?
No. So that was before.
Oh,
it was like while I was like Yeah, that was like while I was still in high school.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was a junior, and like I had, I ended up like modeling for that brand, and that was like a really big thing for me.
You got to
And
meet Tyler, the creator.
so I had met him before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had met him before that, and like he did a show up here, and I was like just waiting for my like, I won't give like the whole shebang about this, but like I was waiting for like my dad to pick me up for this show. I'm just like waiting there for like 3 hours. I'm like, Dad, where are you? Like, come on, like this is taking forever. And like I was wearing like a hat from his clothing brand, the one that I ended up modeling for, and like I was like just walking around because at the Crystal Ballroom in Portland.
Yeah.
And just kind of walking around outside, like trying to stay warm and shit because it was cold.
Yeah.
And I like looked inside because there's a restaurant under it.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant under it. I like looked inside the restaurant, and like I see Tyler like eating a hamburger. Like he like looked at me, like it was crazy. I just like turned around and I see him eating a hamburger, and he's like looking at me like, obviously because I'm wearing a hat. So like he's like, oh, he sees me, and I see, he ended up coming out like outside, and like ended up talking to him, and started that like relationship somehow, and he ended up having me model for like this release he was doing, and like kind of from there was like the start of like a lot of like things for me. Like I met a lot of people through that, and a lot of crazy shit happened, and like just it kind of like gave me a home in LA because it was a pretty cool thing to do, and like for Oregon, especially like Oregon, like I don't like no one was doing like really did anything like that. Like we like went to high school with, and like I that whole like kind of like group of people that like kind of hang out at the store and are involved with like that whole thing, they're very friendly and stuff. So I just kind of became friends with those people, and like that from there came a lot of opportunities, and like a lot of it gave me like pretty much like I had friends there now. I had friends down in LA, so there was like a point for me to like be there, I guess. So
yeah,
that's kind of.
What was it like to meet a person who was like an influence for you?
Yeah, so that like I don't really think about it. Like I don't think about this I haven't thought about this in a while, but at the time, like for years, that guy had really like shaped who I was as a person, and like just made the most like perfect music to me. I absolutely love his music. I absolutely love like his videos, like everything that he did, and he was such like an unbelievable inspiration to me. And when I had met him for the first time, and then when I had gotten to know him, it was just a crazy thing. And like it felt unreal. Like it felt like it was like this feels unreal. Like it did not feel like this actually existed like in real life. I'm like this is not real. This is actually not real. You know what I mean? But like as time went on, as time went on, even like to the last time that I saw him, like before, because I like moved back to just like a little over a year ago, I moved back to Oregon from LA, and like I saw him before I left. Like just to say, like even up to that point, it still kind of felt unreal when I'm talking to this person, that was such an inspiration. Is such an inspiration to me. Maybe not so much anymore with this newest music, but that's not to say like his older music and stuff like was a huge part of my life. So it felt unreal. Yeah, felt unreal, and like I'm thankful for that guy too. Like I owe that guy so much, because if it wasn't for like him doing that, I wouldn't have been able to experience those years of my life like down in LA or anything like that, and do the certain things that I did pretty much. So that's how it felt.
I know it's a very different style of music and mix, but I just rewatched La La Land, and I've been to LA many times, and I really enjoy that movie. I think people should check it out if you get the chance. But I think it does this. The image it paints of LA, there's like a lot of things that are like glamorized, but there's also, it's sort of like this mix and conglomeration of just like extreme happiness and extreme like pain and unhappiness with the way that people are living their lives.
Yeah.
There's like, it seems like there's a lot of people who are dreaming and a lot of people who are sort of clinging to some level of hope.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of people who are just kind of willing to do anything to sort of make it.
Yeah.
And like, what's your experience? Has it kind of matched up with that? Has it been, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it's like maybe a lot dirtier than that.
I haven't seen the movie, but what you just described, like I was like smiling, like laughing over here when you're saying that, because it's like, it's true. Like what you just described is very true. And that's why I left, because it kind of made me sick. Like, it kind of made me sick. Some of the shit that I would see, like, kind of made me sick. And it just was not, like, that's just not who I am, you know? Not that there was people that tried to screw me over, you know? Not anyone that I previously just mentioned. Like, just saying that to let people know, so there's no, like, speculation. But there was other people that tried to like screw me over, and I didn't take that shit. Like, I would not take it if someone tried to screw me over, and some people would. And I'm like, you know what, that's fine. But also I'm going to try to stand up for you, because that's crazy. Like, there was times where like I did like modeling things. And this is also why I stopped modeling. I never wanted to do that in the first place, but it's a source of money and like, but I just I don't like that type of image. But people would just be fine with just not getting paid. I'm like, you promised money that you would get paid. Like, that's crazy that you're just not gonna the thing is, I understand it, because they're so scared. They're like clinging on to every last little thing. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, this person will choose me again or whatever, because they're not gonna that I'm okay with not being paid. And like, fuck that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna take that type of abuse, you know, because that is abuse. Like, that's crazy. Like, you can't just do that to somebody. You can't tell them, like, you know, if you tell them, oh, this is free, you know, that's a different story. Yeah. You agree to that. But if you agree with people that you're going to get paid, you know, and a lot of the thing is, there's not a lot of contracts and stuff down there. Like, there are, but at the same time, there's not. Like, the smaller things or things that are like on the come up, you'll see somebody that's like has a lot of followers on Instagram, something like that, and they'll promise you something, and, you know, they're just not going to follow through with it. And if you wanted to take legal action or something, which, I mean, I never went that route, but there's nothing you can fall back on, because like, you didn't sign a contract, or you signed a contract and said you don't get any money, you know what I mean, or you just get closed. And it's kind of like a really nasty place. There's beautiful parts about it. Like, have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Yeah. That, like, I guess that shows kind of dark stuff too, but that movie also, like, I know it's in the past, but that kind of shows like the movie shows like what was cool about LA, like kind of the vibe of like everything was just super fun down there. Everyone's just having a good time, you know. But then there's like dark, crazy shit that happens. Didn't see anything like that, you know, like that in that movie, you know, like people killing each other. But from what you said about La La Land, definitely true. But maybe I was in La La Land for a little bit, like the first maybe 6 months, year I lived there, but I like snapped out of that quickly. Because I'm from here. I mean, people might dump on me for this, but I feel like at least visiting LA I enjoy from time to time, because it's the hills that surround it and stuff. I think it's kind of it's just a cool landscape, and like if you walk around the right spots, like it's actually kind of nice to just be on your feet. But from people that I've encountered, like it sounds like there's a lot of like performative stuff, and it's like you almost can't even blame a lot of people for that, because it's like if you're trying to make it as an actor or actress, like you have to get your name out there now or be insanely lucky. And it's just like it's kind of like it's like a dreamer city, but when you have that, it's also like you create a lot of potential like toxic or stuff that I guess I wouldn't even say it's toxic. It's just stuff that like maybe not a lot of people really want to engage with. It's just like I had some weird story where I was talking to these guys in Corvallis one time, and this dude had moved up here from Los Angeles, and he was saying like I don't know if this is like BS, because it almost sounds like crazy to me, but he was saying he like went camping or something, like got out of the city and went camping, and like somebody was like,
oh, like, what's the point of like that? Like, what are you gonna like put it up? How nobody's gonna care if that's like on your Instagram or something. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, that like, why would I'm going camping because I want to go camping, not because I want it. That's probably like a microcosm, but
I think the thing is that like the people I was around, it wasn't anything that extreme, but I know that like I seen that, and I see like I see that like I used to work on Fairfax, which is like a very like popular street in LA, like a very popular tourist place, and just like a place where people hang out and like buy clothes. Like Supreme's on that street, or used to be on that street, but like you just see people that just they're just trying to take pictures. Like it's crazy. Like people are just like kind of just take pictures of everything, you know. And I get like I take pictures and stuff too, but like there's a level of like it's crazy. Like they're just like they're there to like get a picture of stuff and then just leave. Like they don't care about the actual experience. They're just trying to be like, oh, I was here.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, dude. It's just like it's just like it makes me think. I'm like, what do you enjoy doing in life? Like, and it's none of my business, but like I worry because it's like, what are your kids? How are your kids gonna turn out if you decide to have kids? Like, are they just gonna be soulless little robots too? Like, you know what I mean? Like not to be disrespectful, but like I don't know, when I'm at a concert or like I'll take my little video of a song that I like, maybe. Honestly, not anymore. Like honestly, if I went to a concert now, I probably wouldn't even take out my phone.
It kind of hurts me to I'll do it for parts. It's always this hard game because there's like little parts that I really want, but then I'm like, I feel like I had a really, not to interrupt you, I feel like I had a part in my life where I was really cynical about like pictures and videos, where I was just like, it just was like, I would so much rather just enjoy the preservation of what my memory actually deems worthy of remembering. But I think I've sort of gone back on that a decent amount, but at the same time, I'm also kind of like, I don't know, I see videos of concerts here and then, like, and I don't know, my music taste is maybe a little like odd, so like, but like a lot of the concerts I'm going to, most people are just enjoying the music, but there's like a lot of concerts these days where it seems like just half the crowd is just like has their phone in the air. Like, people have their phones out in mosh pits. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, you are risking a lot. Right?
Have you seen that photo where it's like the first like movie that was ever in 3D, and like it's a black and white picture and everyone's wearing like the 3D glasses? It's like a famous picture, and like if anyone wants to look at it, just look up like first 3D movie like viewing ever. It's just kind of like an interesting photo because you look at it then. It's actually funny. It's kind of weird because if you actually look at it now, it's weird too, because like we don't do like, no one does like 3D glasses anymore. You know, like the thin little paper ones that were red and blue. Like, like no one does that.
Kids, dude.
Yeah, like no one does that anymore. So it's even weird to look at it now. But like back then, that's like the same. That's like the equivalent of like the picture of a crowd at a concert and everyone has their phones out. Like it's like the same type of weird, like why? Like, this is such a weird, unnatural kind of thing. But phones even might like the. I saw someone like talking about how like when people say they're like, oh, I'm really scared when they put the chip in our brain or whatever, and I'm like, I mean, that's I'm gonna be scared of that too. But like we already are cyborgs at this point with our phones, and I'm not saying I'm any better than any of these people, but like we're already cyborgs. Like we already it's crazy. Like it's actually kind of scary if you think about it. Like it's like, this is like it's attached to us. Like it's literally like
you get worried when you don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's like a part of your reality. Like it's a part of your body at this point. It might as well be a part of your body. It might as well be glued to your freaking hand.
Yeah,
you know, you might as well be born like with like a holder as your left hand or whatever, and you're like just looking at your phone because it's so much like a part of our knowledge now. You know, and that's, I mean, I went down a rabbit hole with that, but like that's what it is with these people, you know, or with people that just want to take, and that's fine if you want to take pictures. I'm not like, anything is fine. You can do whatever you want to do, but it's definitely like in LA, it's like very much like everyone's trying to be like keeping up with the Kardashians, you know, and I'm not that type of person like at all, really. So
I think it was funny because in my time where I was in Europe, there was like, I think I've heard that like some of the most annoying tourists now are just the ones who take up a ton of space, like taking pictures. I
Yeah.
think I had to like, I was always in this like weird balance of like, okay, how much like space do I actually give these people, or like do I like try to not like let them own the entire road that I'm trying to walk through? And it was, but like I don't know, I say like power to people if they want to take pictures. Like even if it, like if you don't have a big like photography background or anything, like and you just want, like I think there's totally some benefit to having pictures, and everybody can have their own thing. But I don't know. My perspective on it is like pretty honestly just I'm pretty indifferent. But
Yeah. I have a funny thing about what I do is if I yeah. Oh God. No, like what I do is like if like I go to a lot of baseball games. I love baseball. And like don't get me wrong, like if I saw my favorite baseball player like walking down the street, I'd probably, I'd be like big fan. I would tell them I'm a big fan. I wouldn't really actually do that for any like celebrities, honestly. Like maybe a couple, but like some of the baseball players I like, but maybe I would ask him for a picture. But the thing I do is when I go to baseball games, I like to get like, not because of this, but I get nice seats. So I like sit like really close to the field, like right up next to the field. And like if I really want to get like a funny picture or like a picture or something from it, I'll like rewatch the game afterwards, and I'll like wait till like my favorite player is like batting and they show like a little shot of him from the side, and then you can like see me in the back. I'm like, all right, there it is. There's my thing. Like after the fact, like if I want to have some sort of memory after the fact, I'll just take a screenshot of it after the fact. And that's kind of cringe, but it's also like, it's like funny. And also like, it's not taken away from my experience. I'm just watching the game, and then I can be my like psycho obsessed baseball fangirl like afterwards. You know what I mean?
Power to you.
Yeah.
In terms of the LA stuff, like was there anything you feel like you picked up from your time there that was really important that you learned?
That people aren't like, this isn't like me saying this from the point of view where something devastating happened, but like, always know who your real friends are, and like value those people, and don't get too caught up. And like, if you're doing well, don't get too caught up in that, and always make sure to like be kind to other people, and also like make sure to treat everyone with respect, because like you can get in your own head down there like super easily.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Well, like, as if LA is the creative dreamland in a sense, or hellscape, I don't know, you're a creative person, I would say, and from what you've shown me, I've really enjoyed. And so, are you working on anything right now?
No, I don't want to make me. I'm just kidding. No. Yeah. I've worked on this album for the past like. Man, I'm trying to think of like when I made the first song for this album, because I've been trying to make my first like debut solo like full vocals album for like since like 2019 at this point. And man, does time like fly when you think about it. But I'd say like the first song I made that's on this album that I'm working on probably made in 2020. So I guess it'll be 2020 summer, I'd say. So probably it'll be coming up here on 3 years since I started working on it. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be cool. Like when it's out, it'll be out. I don't have a date for it. I wish I could give a date. I wish I could give a date like right now on this thing, honestly, like for my own sake, just to say like this is when I'm putting it out. But it'll be out for sure like this summer at some point.
Okay. Sweet.
Hopefully earlier, and that's approaching. I would say like June, July. But it's a big part of my like life from when I was gone down there, and like also like what I learned when I kind of came back, and like it's just kind of like just like vibes, honestly, like vibes from like my perspective of like stuff that happened and stuff I'm going through and stuff that but also at the same time it's just groovy shit that you could like just listen to, and not like overthink at all. But it's definitely just parts of my life pretty much, and I'm excited for people to hear it, because I mean, I've worked on it for 3 years.
Yeah.
But also I'm excited because it's like, this is my turn. It's my turn to like show you guys what I'm like capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also excited because then that, like, this is footstep, like I've made my first step on the moon. Now it's ready for the second step after this. You know what I mean? So
what's like the biggest struggles that come along with making music, or at least or specific to you?
I think like, I think like, I was going to say, hopefully everyone could relate with this, and that would have been terrible. I hope that people can't relate to this. But like, I deal with burnout, like, and I don't know if everyone does, but I deal with burnout like pretty hardcore, like, because I'll get into music like really deep and like heavy, like for a 3-month period of time. And it'll just be like amazing, and everything I'm listening to feels great to listen to. Just like stuff I'm making. Like for me, when I'm listening to music, it's like almost a process of making music. Me listening to music is a process of me making music, because I have to process other music that I hear and love, because it gives me a feeling that I can like try. I'm not trying to replicate. Like there are some songs where I say I try to replicate like the feeling that song gives me, but it puts me like into a certain like vibe, I guess, you know, like that I like a certain like area of my life. Like it puts me, like it gives me a period of time of, I don't know how to explain this like in a word, but like where you're just listening to these certain albums and certain things are inspiring you, and you can translate that into your own stuff, you know what I mean? But then the struggles I have is that then it'll be 2 months after, like it'll be then for a month or however long it is after that, like I just can't, like it's kind of a struggle to like be inspired by stuff and like have stuff sound interesting to me, even if it's like a new album and it's like crazy and like it hits me later how crazy good the album is. Like I just might not be able to comprehend it at that time. And so it's like with like plants, like they need the sun to create the stuff that the plants create, you know what I mean? Like I need to hear music, I need to see movies, like that's
inspiration.
What gives that's like my sun, like it gives me that, and then I can like translate that into what I make. And you're not always going to get like it's winter sometimes these plants they have to go in hibernation, they can't always get the sun like that. Hibernation, Jesus, you need color to not go to college. But like, no, you know what I mean? Like it's not always going to hit you like that, and so you're not able to produce, you know, cars need fuel, you need your fuel to create stuff, like and it's very hard when I deal with burnout to create stuff, and that's my biggest struggle, and it's also very depressing.
I think for a lot of creative people it can be that, like sometimes I feel like I've gone through what I would just say is cycles of being able to do creative stuff, and I think I've been in a good one for a long period of time, but part of me is sort of in this assumption, I'm challenged by this assumption of, will I fall off of, should I assume that I will fall off of that and try to develop a strategy to get myself back into it, or should I continue to be like, no, if I just keep working I can fight off, and even if I have to lower the amount that I'm doing so that I slow down and maybe don't burn out, should I be doing that instead of like trying to find ways to reignite my passion? Should I maybe just settle down and try to make it extended? Like instead of writing and working on videos and podcasting and like doing all these different things all at once, should I cut it down to one and just like be like, I'm going to write for 30 minutes a day and that's all I'm going to do? Because that's a lot more sustainable than trying to figure out all of these other things that I want to work on. But at the same time, like if I have all these other things I want to work on and I'm motivated to do that right now, is that just going to fade out at some point? And that creates sort of a dilemma for me. But yeah, I think it sounds like also what you're saying is the ability to draw from inspiration is also kind of something that sort of fluctuates. Like I think like I'm very much, I grew up more of a movie person than a book person. I think I'm actually becoming a lot more of a, not shifting, but I'm reading,
appreciating the books in a different way almost.
But I have found that as I got more into movies, I was like on a really big high for that for a while, but then it goes to like lows, and I don't even feel like watching movies sometimes. Versus like I feel like at some point I that's like if I could just do that all day, like maybe not all day, but like there's like a mood. It's almost there's a mood that I need to be in. I think
Yeah.
part of that comes from being burnt out. There's a million other factors, but that's definitely been a struggle for me as well. But
Yeah, well, I think the thing with that is that you well think about this. So my whole life, like I was able to just like I could not wait to wake up in the morning and just listen to music when I was a kid. Like I would listen to music from when I woke up in the morning, brushing my teeth, getting on the bus, like going to school, like any chance I could at school. Like if I had to stick an earbud in, like always listening to music, like always listening to music, and like till I went to sleep all day. And I would like cherish like when I lived in downtown Salem, I'd cherish that because my parents are divorced. My dad, I wouldn't walk. I would take the bus back to my dad's house, but I had to walk home to my mom's house, and I had to walk through Bush Park, and I had to walk through downtown, and I like that was such a like irreplaceable like part of my like memories and like that I had because I just loved to walk and just listen to my music, and imagine like when that whole thing I just told you like just goes away and you're like the first time in your life you're like I don't enjoy listening to music, and like when that hit me for the first time a couple years ago I was like what, like it was crazy, you know. It's maybe like who really knows what the factor of it is, but sometimes I struggle nowadays with like wanting to listen to music. I think now the thing that I realize is that when it first happened I got very scared. I was like whoa, like I'm stuck in some depression, like music's never gonna sound like good, I'm just growing up, you know. But I think the thing is that like you just gotta let go. Like I just gotta let go. I'm like, this is normal for this to happen, and like I can't just force like that. I just can't force that pure like childlike like interest and joy in music. I can't force that always. It'll come to me when it comes to me, and when it does, those are the times to get to where.
I think forcing it makes it worse a lot of the time.
That's what it was, because that time, the first time it happened, I was like, all right, let's play this song. Like, I know this song here do something to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it just wouldn't work. And then, like, when I try it, I'd just be like, I'd be like, they would just suck the soul out of me, you know? Like, I'd be like, damn, like, this isn't, like, this song that my whole life is, like, literally, I've, like, this song is so beautiful, it's made me cry before. But now it's like, now I want to cry because I can't enjoy the song, you know?
Yeah.
And I think part of that is just growing up, and, like, we're at the age where like we're at a very like interesting part in our lives because we're turning into adults, you know, or we are adults, but like turning into like grown men. And there's weird stuff that's going on with our bodies and minds, stuff like that, you know, like different from when we were kids, because that's what we're exploring. But we're like kind of exploring like a different type of way. Like we know what we kind of like now, and we're like doing that. Like, but we're figuring out what works within that. I feel like.
What do you feel when you don't like a song anymore?
The thing is I know it'll come back to me at some point. Now I know that, but like, you know, when that first started happening, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is not gonna. There's definitely. Well, I think maybe the question you're asking is correct me if I'm wrong, but like songs that there were some artists and songs that I liked in high school where I realized I grew out of. And I can still like acknowledge that was good music, or maybe even bad music actually.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, I just wouldn't listen to it really anymore. But if I heard it, like maybe sometimes I'll go back and listen to it for just purely nostalgia purposes. But definitely some questionable stuff that I think we all listened to in high school or middle school. You know, like I mean, I was talking about this with my friend the other day, like when we were kids, like we listened to like freaking Call of Duty the musical or like rap, like that stuff. Like in my head when I was a kid, I was like, this is awesome. Like I'm like why, like what's there why I listen to that now, you know what I mean? Like there's so, like that was just like there's some stuff that is only meant to be at that certain part of your life.
Like what, so I guess after that, like the general, what's like taken away when you're not enjoying music on the day-to-day?
That I just need to focus on being healthy. I need to focus on like being healthy and focus on getting my like work done and putting myself first, and like because I noticed like it's like my music doesn't sound good, and then my food starts tasting like blah.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, maybe it's just because I deal with depression, but like also maybe some people don't deal with depression, but they deal with this type of like burnout thing. I don't really know what it is, but all I know is that what I've realized is that like anxiety and like these gross feelings that you feel, they're there to like keep you in balance. At least that's how I take it. And so I just try to take care of myself as best as I can when that stuff happens. I'm like, this is time for me to rest, get sleep, work out if I can, or just focus on something else right now and just kind of get along. It's fine to just be getting along, as long as you have like, hopefully you have people there that are able, like people that are there to hang out with you or even just talk to you on the phone throughout that time. In fact, that's the best thing you can really do, and just take some time to yourself. That would be my best suggestion, and not like freaking wrap your brain around why you can't, do something that's so normal to you,
I've been reading No Mud, No Lotus, which is this, I don't know what I would describe it. It's a very spiritual book, but there's this section where they talk about, I think it's a Buddhist story where they talk about the arrows, and it's like getting shot with your first arrow hurts really bad.
Yeah.
But then getting shot in the same spot with the second arrow hurts like 10 times worse. It's not twice as bad.
Yeah.
And I guess the idea there is like if you have something happen that your belief about it or your anxiety or your worries are actually, like if I injure my leg and the injury might like hurt, but me worrying about it and wanting to get back to exercise and all these different things, that is usually like 10 times worse than the actual pain of the injury. And I mean, I guess that's a very physical thing, but it's I think it's a good mentality to try to treat it as like a balance thing instead of trying to force yourself into fixing everything all at once. And I guess, does music help you process things? Does making music help you process things, or?
Yeah. Well, like I said, like making music doesn't really help me process things. I mean, it does. Like if something happens to me, I can like write a song about it. It definitely, that does, it's like a weird form of like therapy or whatever, but like, it's almost like I said, like I need that fuel. Like I need that other music to sound good to me before I can like do that. So like,
sorry, what are your, I meant to ask, what are your like inspirations for music?
Like right now, probably, because I could tell you who inspired me like 5 years ago a lot, but that doesn't matter. So I'll tell you about who inspires me right now. I really love, there's an artist named Puzzle who's really sick. He's like a member of this band called The Garden, which I also love. But he does his own solo stuff, and it's just so cool and like different and like just so like just creative, and like I absolutely love it. And he has like a new album called The Run Opera and it's just like super grimy, but it's like that album really like has inspired me. And I'd say he's probably top of the list right now. Then I would say, like, honestly, like I've been listening to a lot of just like random sort of like metal stuff, like punk stuff, just like randomly, like maybe not any specific sort of albums, like but just like in a whole, like, because that's just kind of how I feel right now. I just like a lot of actually like Alice in Chains. I like a lot of Alice in Chains. Like that's just how I like it. Just is how I feel right now. Just kind of like gritty and like kind of rough around the edges, like screaming, and like that's just kind of how I feel right now. But it's funny though, because that's not what my music sounds like. None of that is what my music that I'm working on sounds like. But it definitely inspires and definitely still can put inspiration into it, because it makes you think about like. I won't spoil like how this album that I'm working on sounds, but like you think of weird ways to like mix and like fuse stuff together, or like try something that you like from a totally different genre or something like that, and like use it onto your stuff. And I think that's pretty inspiring, and that's what I like about Puzzle, because he you couldn't really like if you listen to it, you're like what genre even is this, like because it's just like so many things from different genres together, and it's just really cool.
Yeah. Do Do you make music because you're inspired by these people, or it was a thing that you were attached to growing up, or what are the reasons for why you make music?
I don't know. I guess like, I think when I was a kid, I just loved me. I just absolutely loved music. Like, I don't know, my dad would play music for me, and I just be like, wow, this is amazing. I just absolutely love to listen to music. And it kind of was just like when I first started like learning how to make music, it was just like a fun thing, and like I was just using it to, express myself, and I was using it to, like, it was just like something I loved to do, and just was doing it because I loved music and I just wanted to create music. And when I moved to LA, I was still doing that, but then there was a part where I just was like, all right, I just need to make, like, when I started being able to make good music, like when I was like, damn, this music I'm making is good. I was like, all right, every song needs to be good. Every song needs to be a freaking, like needs to be a hit. Every song needs to be like, gotta knock everyone's socks off. You know what I mean? And that's when I started running into problems. I was like, oh God, like ship's going down. Yeah, like, this is not good. And it started affecting my music pretty badly. Although I did make a couple like songs throughout that time where I was like, that are going to be actually on the album, where I'm like, damn, these are really good songs.
Yeah.
But it's not I would not suggest like that headspace. I've definitely like fixed that.
The perfectionist.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I just am like, I don't care what people think about my music. I know to me, it's great music, and if other people like it or even love it, like that's freaking great.
Yeah.
Like I that's what I can only hope, because I only hope to share like my joy of music with other people. So that's really what it's kind of all about for me.
It's always, I've talked about this a few times on the podcast, but just making things for yourself or for other people, it always seems like if you're not making something for yourself, or like, I mean, people make it on like doing things for the purpose of pleasing other people, but it seems like a lot of the most genuine and liked artists are the people who have found something that they like to do, and it more just happens that other people like it, or they produce something because it's something that sounds good to them, or at least there's sort of the purest, there's a purist element to like trying to make things for your own pleasure in a way. And I think I think it can get really easy to get caught up in like, oh, is this idea going to appeal? Like I remember when I was working on like one of my movie projects, it's just I had this like thought maybe like halfway through where I was just, or maybe more closer to the ending, honestly, like I actually hadn't worried about it. I was in such a good headspace of like not being concerned. And then as I got to the last bits of it where I was like, oh, I'm actually like almost done with this, I was like, oh God, like what if this just doesn't relate to anyone? And I was like, all right, I think the biggest thing is I'm gonna watch it through, and it just needs to work for me. And
exactly.
And I don't know what I would have done necessarily if it didn't work for me. I think I would have still been proud of myself for like actually making a longer film project, but I think the fact that I finished it and I was like, oh, I'm actually happy with this. Like it felt like I remember like halfway through, or the halfway point was more like, oh shit, I'm actually like making this big project that I didn't even imagine that I'd be able to do. And it was just there was a relief and a fear in that. But I think I've always found that if I'm thinking about other people's expectations of something, it just messes with it really bad.
Yeah, I think that like something that I wanted to like say about that was like, I think like, I guess I'll say this, like that's the way to like preface this. I only want to make 3 albums ever, like 3 albums that, like 3 like professional albums. Like this album I'm making doesn't count because it's not professional, you know. I want like 3 albums I make money off of. 3 albums that I like are under a label, or I would hopefully I would say like 2 of them are under a label, and then the last one would be like just me, like independent. But I only want to make 3 albums because like I think that like there's perfect moments in life. And I don't think I think that there's some people like, you know, regardless of what you think about like Kanye West, he has lots of perfect, like, I mean, lots of unperfect moments. But his albums are, I would say to me, and I don't really care what anyone else like thinks about it because it's what I think. His albums are perfect to me. All of his albums are perfect to me. And that's very crazy for a musician to be able to have that many little bubbles of just something that's perfect. I'm not saying every song, I'm not saying I have to love it's not saying that I have to like every song, but I love everything together. And there are little encapsulated moments of life that are perfect, like, and that's just what they are, like, and they're very hard to come by. And perfect moments in life, like, it could even be something, a painting you look at, or it could just be a day was perfect, like stuff that's perfect. And being perfect doesn't mean like it's like everything's the highest grossing thing of all time. It's just to you, what album really made you obsessed? Like what album really just like stood out to you as like, this is perfect, your own definition of that. And you know, maybe, who knows, maybe I'll change it, but I only want to make 3 albums because I don't want there to be any bullshit afterwards. Like, because there's musicians that I like that make albums that are perfect to me, and like, and then they keep making albums, and like, I still love them, but like, dude, like, can we wrap this up? You know, like,
or wait a while.
Yeah, like wait a while. Like the thing with like someone, like, I'm bringing up rap, but like Eminem, I felt like Eminem made great, like his albums were freaking perfect. I feel like he actually has made I think he's actually gotten better at like rapping and stuff actually, like talent wise, because he's gotten actually like incredible at rapping. But like I just can't, like, I can't relate. I mean, I can kind of relate, but it's just like, also it's just like so just like, you know, you're a old man now, kind of like, and there's stuff that you can broadcast to the world about like where you're at in your life, you know, at that time. But it's like, if you're still like talking about like, not necessarily Eminem, but like musicians that are still talking about like, oh, I'm partying, like doing all this stuff or whatever, they're trying to make the perfect thing over and over and over again. They're not trying to make each different thing. They just keep trying to, do you understand what I'm saying? Like they're trying to make the best album. Like their album came out, like say Kanye, okay, say like if Kanye started making bad music to me, say like Yeezus came out, and that was like, everyone unanimously said, wow, this is the great, like everyone loves this album, or his fans all love this album. If he started making all of the rest of his next albums like Yeezus, he just kept trying to make that again to like encapsulate what he did with that, but it's just not going to work because like everything he's put out is its own unique thing. Yeah. And I don't want to ever make a replica. I don't want to make a replica. I think there's fun little like things that you can do to kind of like reference older work that you've done, but like I don't want to have to rely on, I want everything that I do to be in like a time period, like, and once I'm done with doing that, then it's on to the next thing. I don't know what I'm going to want to do after that. Maybe I'll want to make music where it's like I am in a jazz band or I'm in a like rock band or something like that, and it's not a super serious thing, but it's like something that I want to put out in the world that will come out, you know, but it's not going to be like my main thing. Because I want to retire. Like, I want to like stop making music when I'm like, when people were like, I want to like stop making music in a selfish way where people are like, I want him to make more music because that last, like those 3 things were so good that we just want more.
It's like an athlete when like somebody sticks around for, they should have retired.
That's a better metaphor.
They like their final season, you're just like, oh my, like you see the deterioration, like I wonder, one of the questions I had for you is like about losing interest in your own work. And I sort of wonder if that is almost what happens with, sometimes I think you can feel with people who are kind of questioning their music, like, or their movie making or something, like you can, it's almost like there's a desperation to, some people will continue to churn out stuff just because it's their style or whatever. But then sometimes you see people who are like so desperate to get back something that they either bomb or they have an amazing creation because they're just so, their sights are so set on getting back this thing. But I guess I wonder if some of those people they've lost interest in their own work and if they're just continuing to do it because it's their job. But I really have no way of knowing that. But do you lose interest in your own stuff at times, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone like will lose well, the thing is, I haven't lost my motivation. I think that's what some people lose, though. They lose like the motivation to make, and they lose the real reason of why they're making this art in the first place. Like, like, you know, some people get signed to a record deal and it's like, you have to put out 5 albums in 10 years, 5 albums in 15 years or whatever. And who knows, they make 3 albums that are like freaking amazing because they're trying to make good albums or whatever. And, or they're just like, you know, it's not even like trying to make good albums. It's just, I mean, everyone's trying to make good albums, but it's almost just like putting your life into this art that you're making. And then once you have all this money and you've already kind of, you won a Grammy, whatever your thing of success is, you have a nice car, you have a nice house, like you have all that. Now what's there to motivate you? And then they're like, well, I guess I have to, like, I have 5 albums on this contract, I have to make another album. And so let's just put this one out so I can get this over with. Or like, maybe it is good. Maybe some of this music is good, but it's just there because they have to, or it's just there because they need the money or whatever. When there's some artists that like, that's not what it's really about. And like, not that just because like, oh, you're not making a ton of money means your music means more than others. It's just like, you can tell when people make like good music, you know what I mean? Like you can tell when people like, the music is coming from like a place of like, you actually just love making music and you're trying to make something unique and interesting, you know? But I haven't felt that for my music because I don't think I just personally haven't really ever been able to like copy anyone's style. I've tried to I've tried to just for my own pure enjoyment, not to try and like put that out, but it's just very hard for me to like do that, to emulate other people's like styles, stuff like that. So everything I make is just really just like, not saying it's like some like weird like alien music, you know, but like it's me, like, and there's no like denying that. So I don't get sick of that. I mean, that definitely, like when you're working on a song, like I'm sure when you're trying to like put together the like edit a book or edit and something you're writing, or edit a podcast even, or edit a movie you're working on, like, or a film, and you like, you know, you're editing it, like you're doing the actual like work part of it, and like you're like listening to this part like a million times to make sure it sounds right, and like, all right, like let's get this over with, like that, you know, I get sick of doing that, you know, but making the music, like just hearing it, like, no, I don't really get sick of it at all, actually.
I think my problem with some things is like, so when I'm trying to work on like longer writing projects, I sometimes get like doubt about, I don't necessarily lose interest in what I'm saying, but I think I start to wonder if what I'm even saying is like worth saying. Whereas like sometimes I think I'll start at the origin of an idea and be like, oh, this is really cool, or like this could really go somewhere. But then if I'm not persistently working at that, sometimes I'll lose it, or sometimes even if I am persistently working at it, I'm like churning out something and I lose, kind of like you were saying, like you lose the reason that you're working on it. And I think that can sometimes affect my interest or motivation behind something. But I think I try my best to see through to the end any of the projects that I'm working on, or at least the end is a subjective term, I suppose, but at least a draft, I think, with a lot of this. Sometimes I'll like, God, I forget what day it was, but I wrote like this, I hadn't written in like a little while, and I was like, all right, I got to get back on the horse. So I tried writing something, and I looked at the next day, I was like, wow, that was dog.
And that happens with music too. You know, like there's all this like meme stuff where it's like, damn, I just cooked up some like shit last night, like this, that, or like I'm cooking up something right now in the studio, like just making some hard ass beat, and then it's like the next day, and then it's like, it's just like terrible, like, and that's funny, but like you need to like that, like
it has to happen.
It has to happen, you know, like, it's just a part of the process.
Yeah.
Like, or, oh, Michael Jordan missed freaking a million free throws at practice, but didn't miss them in the game. It's just like, yeah, like, what I mean? Like, people say that a million times. It's true. But,
Yeah.
It's just like missing a freaking free throw is like, if you miss it in the game at an important time, like, wow, that sucks. But like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If you miss a free throw in practice.
Yeah.
If you make a free throw in practice, doesn't matter. Like, if you fail or succeed in something that's not going to go towards something, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But also, if you're trying to go towards something, if you're trying to get better, it will matter. It does matter.
I think sometimes, at least with writing, like over the long term, it's just about trying to maintain a habit of doing it. Because I find it's like,
it's tricky.
Oh, well, yeah, it's really tricky. And I've been meaning to read the book Flow. I forget who wrote it, but some like European psychologist, I think. But it's about like the flow state of mind, essentially, and how sometimes I'll struggle with getting myself to write. Like, I think a lot of writers will talk about how getting yourself to just, it's like the looking at the blank page, it's writer's block, essentially. But sometimes one of the reasons I think that I do creative things is because I can get in that state, but it doesn't happen all the time, especially after like that initial like honeymoon phase, sort of, with like your drive. But I realized, like, okay, I think it happens from time to time, obviously. And so my mentality on it is almost like, all right, if I pursue just trying to do it as consistently as I can, it's the more likely I will end up in that state, as long as I am careful to avoid like burning out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, I guess, like analytical mindsets behind my creativity. But it's even then,
when I was trying to I have a problem where I have a tough time explaining things, like expressing things, like so it's like easy for people. I don't have a problem expressing things because I can just do word vomits like I'm doing now. I'm not saying that it's bad, but like that's just how I talk. Like, some people are able to tell something short and precise, and that you'll get the point from there. Me, I have to like build it up.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about those perfect little bubbles of like moments, whether it's art or like freaking like music or art or movies, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you have a 3-month period of your life where you're just feeding on inspiration and everything's great, like, use that to like make something and then cut it off when you're done with that. Like, stop trying to, like, once you're done with that, you can finish it off like later. It's hard to do that. Like, you can like tinker it later on from after that, but freaking catch the fish and put it in the fish tank.
Yeah.
And so you have it, and then you can finish it after that. But like, it's like, if you're trying to like relive some old perfect bubble moment of your life, like, what are you doing? Like, like, that is past, and that's why it's perfect. It's because it's this whole, it's its own thing, and everything is its own. Like, why would you want to make the same like painting over and over again? Like, why would you want to make the same song over and over again? Like, that's why I love artists who like evolve their sound. Like, they just make, not that they're like, all right, every album like has to be like sound completely different than the other one, but like, just go into it with how you feel. Is my like, and I can tell when an album is made like that, or tell when art is made like that, and that's how you can tell if it's good art or bad art.
I was gonna ask you a funny question, like, but I think you kind of explained the answer like already. I'm like, what if an artist is feeling the same way all the time? But then I was thinking, like, okay, I feel like there's people who release music that sounds very similar because of maybe that feeling.
Yeah.
But you can still tell that like they're genuinely coming at it. Like, there's a difference between, like, at least what I would say, like something that feels like a genuine piece of expression versus something that's like just there to make money or be.
Yeah. Of course, I can instantly tell when something is like good music or bad music. I used to not be able to. Like, I used to be able to, but I was kind of a hater. Like, I'd be like, this shit is bullshit. But like, now I'm able to tell better because I just like let the feelings come from it or whatever. And there's no definition of like what's good music or bad music, but like, something that's made with like a with it, you know, I'd say mainly something that's just made just to make money.
Yeah.
The thing is though that you can do that and it could be a good song still.
Yeah.
Like it can sound good to you, but to me, it might not be good music, you know, like there's some like rap song that's like, you know, got a bunch of 808s and stuff, like that's going to be cool for me to listen to for 2 weeks. And then after that, it's like, I forget about it forever.
What's an 808?
Like, see, this thing's like, I don't even, it's a drum, like trap drums almost, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like a deep bass, like,
Gotcha.
an 808 drum. Like I'm talking about like using that as a good example, because there's lots of songs around that come around like that. That's not even like the type of music I really be listening to, but there'll be songs that I hear that I'm like, oh, this is like good example. Like Pharrell is one of my favorite musicians, and he's been doing a lot of stuff with like a bunch of, like, he always has done stuff with rappers, but like a lot of stuff recently where it's very much like super like trappy music and stuff like that. Well, there's no spin to it, but like it gets old. Definitely gets old, because rather than like his projects that are all for him, because it's like, this is something that's like not really timeless, you know, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just kind of means like, it's like, you know, this isn't trying to achieve new things or anything like that, you know, but that's fine also. Like, that's the thing is though, that's fine, you know, but if someone comes up to me and they tell me, like, if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, they ask me about my music taste, and then I ask them about theirs. Like I just like Future and like Travis Scott. Like, not that they've made bad music, but I'm like that's all you listen to. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't take music advice from that person. But also but also though, those are the people that might listen to your music. So
yeah, I don't know, my music taste is just so random, I feel like.
Yeah, but same here.
We're talking about money.
What have you? Can I ask you this? What music have you been listening to? I don't know if it's okay if I.
No, I don't. No, it's fine. The music that I've been listening to recently, I've been getting into like, I almost wouldn't even say this, but I listen to like some shoegaze music.
Okay.
But I think I don't know. I don't know if I would say I like sad music, but sometimes I do. It really depends on the mood.
Yeah.
I really like a lot of punk music is kind of one of my go-tos, but
yeah, you were telling me you have been telling me that you like punk music.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what recently it's been. I don't know. I listen to the broad, like, I guess it's really hard to describe because they're all in the broadest genres of like indie or alternative rock.
Yeah.
But I really like. I always go back to Built to Spill.
Okay.
As one of my favorites. But yeah, I don't know. It's
what is like your favorite song right now? Like, if like a song that you've been listening to, like, because there is a song. There's a song that everyone has a song that they've been listening to a bunch, like the past like just 2 weeks or even.
Right now, I don't know if I have a favorite song right now. I think there's like this. Okay, I had this weird phase of like I feel like there's like this meme rapper named Mario Judah that had a version of Miss the Rage that came out that for some reason I really liked that song. I don't know if it's just because I saw it in this climbing video that came out, but I was like, damn, that's like a really good like banger if I'm like climbing or something.
I love Mario Judah, dude.
I don't know anything about him.
Fucking hilarious. You gotta like look up some of his stuff.
Cool.
I won't mention that on here. But
I don't know much about him.
He's the thing about him that's actually funny, and like this is an interesting thing to talk about actually, is because like he's himself knows he's a meme, but like I don't really know the extent of it though. That's the thing, is like you don't know or not. Like some of it, like I've heard like he does covers of songs, and like they're covers of songs in his own style, and then there's some songs I'm like, this has to be a joke. Like it's not something necessarily that I would listen to, but I'm like, people would listen to this, but I can't tell if it's a joke or not. But it's not. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's absolutely hilarious. Some of the stuff he's making.
I don't know. I mean, sorry, I'm trying to like look at my Spotify stuff. Okay, I have been listening to a lot of instrumental stuff because I've been trying to get into like meditation and things, and I don't necessarily listen to that a ton for like meditative purposes. I don't know if this will be cringe to some people, but I started listening to Minecraft songs. There's some like
I just downloaded the like original Minecraft sound.
Oh my god,
listen to that. You know what? Fuck anyone who like says that's cringe, because like That's like, I don't know. It's like what are the freaking kids from I mean, I'm sure like kids that are generations after us, like they're gonna grow up playing Minecraft because it's just such a good game,
Yeah.
probably. But I mean, like they're probably listening to like Fortnite freaking soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like I love and but the thing about the Minecraft soundtrack is it's like it is absolutely amazing. Like it is like whether you think that's cringe or not, it is absolutely amazing music.
It's really fun to write
Yeah.
while listening to Minecraft. Like it's so calming, and like it's funny because I listen to
And it's so damn like nostalgic too,
yeah
like, at the same time.
I listen to these other instrumentals from Blythe Field, and I got really into Alex G, who I found out that apparently a lot of most people now I think have heard of Alex G through TikTok, and I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
But he has this one song called Clouds that I think I was like, is this a Minecraft song? And I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is like someone that I listened to all their other stuff, or I like a lot of his older stuff.
Yeah.
That was like really like recorded in his bedroom, and like his newer stuff I'm not as into, but I've also been doing, I always like Elliott Smith for his generally a lot of sad music, but it's like just his voice is so good. And
I haven't gone down that like path yet, but I know it's because he's from Portland, right?
He at least lived in Portland for a long time.
I know that I'm gonna like definitely go down that path. You would suggest listening to him?
I definitely would. Good Will Hunting is like a good way to like if you watch Good Will Hunting, you get the vibe of a lot of his music, because he's like, I think he did almost all the music for that. But if there was an artist that's like dead that I would want to see, it would be him.
Okay.
But I mean, he is dead.
Yeah. Definitely dead.
Yeah. And then I started listening to math rock for God knows why. Like that, there's this Japanese band called Toe.
Okay.
That I don't like. For those who don't know what math rock is, I think it's just like really complicated rhythms and like instruments layered over each other. And I don't really know why I like it so much, but I'm trying to think. There's like, I feel like you have like cringe music that you look back at music that you listen to and you're like, I'm not, I don't listen to like any Midwest emo music anymore, but I think there was a period of time where I liked it, and I couldn't exactly figure out why I liked it, because a lot of the lyrics are like really whiny.
Yeah.
But which I guess is sometimes just a thing in some punk music that I'd probably still listen to, but I didn't realize like there's a lot of math rock influence in that, and just these like really complicated guitar things. And so I've been enjoying that, and it's like, I don't know, math rock's kind of fun, but it's also
check that out.
Weird.
I've heard about that before, actually.
Yeah, it's worth giving a shot. But anyway, I don't know if you had more on that you wanted to ask, but I was thinking about, we were talking about money and versus people's passion in their music, and I guess there's so much wrapped up in success in that. What's the definition of success to you, or your definition? It's a complicated question.
To always just be like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever. I think like, I mean, if I like, this is the thing that's like, honestly, like if I made like $1 million, I'd be like, wow, I feel successful. But also at the same time, like that's not going to last for very long. I think the thing that people like try to like act like they aren't in it for is like fame. But here's my thing about it is that fame doesn't really interest me. It used to, but like it doesn't interest me. But I feel like everyone wants admiration from people, because whether they didn't receive it like how they felt they should growing up. Not that I'm saying that, but maybe in certain ways. But like, I want to be a part of the music community. I want people to be excited when I release music, and I want, I would love it for people to love my music. And I'm not making it for people to love, but I think I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied with myself, so I don't know if I'll ever feel successful, but I'll definitely feel it along the way, if I can make it happen, that like people are excited when I have music that comes out, or people are waiting for my music to come out, and people just like it's like like when someone's album comes out, like if you think about it, like for me, if there's an artist that I like that's releasing music, what do I do? It's Thursday. Every Thursday, that's when new music comes out. Friday in New York, but Thursday here on the West Coast, like comes out at 9 p.m. every Thursday. So your artist might release an album, and if I know my artist is like an artist I love is gonna release an album, like that's where I'm gonna be at 9 p.m. on a Thursday. Like, and if the fact that people would be waiting on, like, clear their plans out and be waiting to like listen to it, or just set aside, like maybe not even on the spot, but like if they wait till a week later and till they have time and go on a bike ride or go on a walk or something, just so they could listen to the album and appreciate it, and then even more if they like love it afterwards, like that's like what I would be in it for, because of like all the great musicians who like gave that to me when I was growing up, like especially for like younger people, like that's like shapes the way you live, and that's for music.
Yeah,
that's what it did for me. So that's how if I were to like feel successful, that's what would make me feel successful, if I knew that was the case. But but always, like I said, like once you finish up a project, time to wrap that up and like onto the next thing. And you can feel successful with each thing you do, but I want to always have something to work towards to feel successful at, whether it's like random stuff, like if I want to learn how to race a car in the future, like that's something I'm going to practice and do really good at. I learned like 2 summers ago, or 3 summers ago, I was like, I want to learn how to wheelie on a bike. And like, that was my goal. I was like, hey, I'm going to wheelie on this bike, and like, it's going to happen, but it's just going to take some time. And I learned how to wheelie on my bike, and I can wheelie like unlimited. Like I can wheelie for as long as like you ask me to. I'm like, all right, like if you and me were going on a bike ride, maybe not right now, it's been a while, but like I could for a couple of years, I could just pop up a wheelie and just just do that. Like, and I felt successful doing that. It was fun, but then it's on to the next thing. Now I want to learn how to play guitar. Like, it's all about trying new things, I think, and that's what success is to me.
It's something curious you said in there. You said you won't be satisfied with yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think that dissatisfaction drives you?
Yeah.
Do you think that's healthy?
Yeah, I do think it's healthy. I think that you can make it unhealthy, where if you're like, man, I can't like do it, like whatever, and you're like loathing and like your own like just like sick little freaking like I can't do anything mood, like that's a problem. Like you need to accept that you're like, at least me personally, maybe people do get satisfied with things. I personally don't really get satisfied with much things, but I think there's like a good thing in being satisfied with something that you like forcing yourself to like, all right, time to wrap it up, and now I can put it out and learn to feel satisfied with that. You know what I mean? Because I did put out like a little instrumental like album in 2018 or 2019, I don't remember, and like it's very like, it wasn't even mixed. It's a very different, like it was a very different vibe and like thing I was going for like at that time. But like I'm satisfied with that. Like I'm satisfied with what I put out, and I'm actually probably like, I don't know if anyone like listening to this even cares, but if you want to listen to that, it's gonna get like, I'm gonna delete it like when my album, like before my album comes out. So like, if you want to listen to that, then now's your chance. But yeah, like I'm satisfied with that, but also at the same time, I'm also not satisfied with it because I'm like, I can do better. And I think like when I release this album, I'm gonna be relieved, but also I'm like, all right, on to the next one. And I'm not mad at that because it gives you something to do. So I don't have any complaints with not being satisfied. And I would just don't loathe in like a nasty, feeling of that, like do you feel satisfied with stuff that you do?
I think I definitely feel satisfied. I mean, like with my movies that I put out, I'm really happy with how they turned out, especially given like the context that I'm working within, like based on no budget and
exactly,
one shot all in 3 hours, and like I think there's a lot of, it seems like there's a collection of people who are like, have these artists that are really famous or really good at what they do. There seems to be kind of a pattern of like, you are always pushing for something, which is sort of a dilemma for me, because I think it kind of leads into one of these questions I wanted to ask about how, So I just watched this video that was about like the philosophy of Henry David Thoreau. I think he lived on a pond for 2 years, and like I think the idea was, the video was a clickbait title called "Be a Loser," the philosophy of that. But I think his mentality was it's about success and how success is relative to the person, and how it's okay to have modest expectations or not do so many things. Like, and it feels like today and I'm sure this was a thing in the past as well, but it feels like today we have all this technology and so many things that we're pushing for all the time, that it's like, do we always need to be pushing for the next thing? Do we always need to be striving to be 100%? And I think it's sort of a struggle for me, because I think I'm driven to work on things, maybe not constantly, but like like if I stop just like doing projects, I think I kind of lose it a little bit. But I think, yeah, I guess I sort of wonder what your opinion is on the idea of having, I like this idea of the relativity of success. So if somebody their goal is to buy groceries and be able to come home and watch TV, and like that's what they want to do with their life, like, and they're able to do that, that doesn't mean that they're any less successful than somebody who's like, my goal is to become a world football star and like go like play in all these crazy matches and win all these trophies and stuff. It's like, and they go do that. Like, in some context, they're both equally successful because they have different expectations of what they want out of their life. And I think with myself, I feel like I set really high expectations of myself. So I definitely feel that pursuit. And I guess I think I get almost anxious of like what happens if I don't do these things, because I recognize, or I feel I don't know about I don't really have any set opinions on life after death or anything, but I'm remembering the Succession. I'm watching that show on HBO, and there's the one guy who says, I have my suspicions. When somebody asks him about that, but so I guess I have my suspicions, but in that instance, I'm like, I feel like I have this limited amount of time and I want to do something with it. And so I'm not, I guess there's a feeling that maybe in the past I was very unconsciously drawn to the fame of working on certain things. And I think now I probably still am to a certain degree. I think I'd be myself. I think I'd be lying to myself if I didn't want some element of that. Or like you talked about, like how cool it would be to have people that want to listen to your stuff. Like I think at some point I realized though that like, I don't know that there's a level at which I will just, I was like, I had this idea in my head, if I go become this like film director or screenwriter or something, if I finally find a way to get to this point, then I will be happy. But
that's scary.
But and at some point I just realized, like, so many people will tell you that you get to that point and you're like, not that much has actually changed. Or like maybe I learned a lot, but like one of the lessons you learn is that this is not what makes me happy, is to get to the top of the mountain, because you just got to walk back down and go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's like kind of what, like, a thing that I've struggled with too, is because like there was like a while where it's like when I was living in LA, I was like, dude, I don't want to be like making music, like kind of like I feel like goes hand in hand with being like a famous person. Like, and I like, don't get me wrong, people are like, oh man, like I don't want to be famous. Like, shut up. Like, it would be freaking like so cool for like a year, probably, you know. There would be parts that are awesome about it, like parts that you couldn't even believe that are awesome about it, I'm sure. But like the cons, I feel like they scare me very much. And like first off, that's not really what it's about. It's about me doing my own thing. But and then, like, if I was a famous person, that's like what comes along with it, you know. It terrifies me because, like, here's also the thing I was saying, I want to make 3 albums because, like, once I'm done with that, I want to have a family, you know. And like, I want to be the best dad in the world, like, and like, I can't be I don't want to like be trying to make the freaking, like, I'll always make music, but like I don't want to try like be making a freaking Grammy like level like album while I have a kid. Like I should focus on like supporting a family at that time. Not that I can't do hobbies, but you know, like
It's hard to do everything.
yeah, it's hard to do everything at once. So like I'm gonna take time to do that. And also the thing that scares me is like if I become famous, like it fucks my kid's life up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I think it's really cool when there's like musicians like someone like Frank Ocean or someone like, you know, like there's like Frank Ocean's a big one, like that he's just kind of like elusive. Like you don't see this person like really publicly. I'm not sure if maybe he lives like I mean, I'm not sure like would I have to live in a remote area to like if I wanted to make music, and like it got to that point, you know, just to like be kind of like safe. But also I think it might not be like that crazy, you know, because I'm not gonna be like freaking Michael Jackson, you know what I mean? But like it's definitely something that has like deterred me from putting out music like and working on music, because it scares me. I'm like, dude, like this is like gonna change your life, and you don't know, like you might think it's cool at first, but then this other stuff happens, and then like I don't know, like, you know, it makes me think about like my future kid. Like, is my kid gonna like what? How is this gonna affect him? How's this gonna affect my family? Like, is everyone gonna see pictures of my wife? You know, my future wife, like because I make music. Like that freaks me out, and that's like a thing that like, you know, it's like damn.
There's a lot tied up in being famous.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess in that case, so we're talking about not being driven by fame. Do you feel like you're driven by purpose or meaning, or is there something else? Is it just living and doing what you want?
I think like what I kind of said earlier, like I do crave like admiration. Like I want people like bro, like I don't know, like I got bullied in elementary school. Like there's a sick part of me that wants people that bullied me and like made fun of me and stuff to look at me and be like, wow, that's the person that I bullied. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely part of it. There's part of it where I mean, the main part of it, I just love making music. Like let's put that out there. But then there's like, you know, I think admiration and like would be great. But the second biggest thing I think would also be like being able to work with musicians that I look up to and stuff, and just like be a part of the music community. I think that's the main. Those are the two main things for me. But you know, you can't like really lie to yourself. I think admiration for people is a big part of like what drives you to like do it. You know, and that's why I think it needs to be capped off at some point, because like you can't like there's got to be other things that satisfy you in life that like, try and do that. And I think it's okay to like feel like this for a certain part of your life, or however long, or your whole life, I guess. But like just for me, I don't know, you know, because like once you like beat Grand Theft Auto, like you just have unlimited money and like you drive around like run people over and that stuff. No, like you know what I mean? Like not something like I'm saying like it gets boring. Yeah, it gets boring, and like life is obviously more complex than a video game. But like, are you gonna keep playing Grand Theft Auto, or are you gonna play another game? Are you gonna play another game? You know?
Yeah. Have you ever watched Atlanta?
I love Atlanta.
You finish it?
Where am I at? I'm at like season 2. Is it?
It goes through season 4. Okay. The ending of that show.
Did it end?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the end of season 4 is the end.
Okay.
It like messed me up. Like it was not messed me up, but it was like really. Just, the ending was so intense. But I think what you're describing in some ways is really interesting, because Al from the show, Paperboy, is you see a lot of that perspective, and I think that show just handles it in such a genuine way of like someone who's either bored or even annoyed with having fame, and like goes off and tries all these different things to like find a way to satisfy your way through that. And there's I don't know that it even concludes necessarily with like, it doesn't give you, I don't think that show gives you a lot of answers.
But I think that's the thing about it though.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's part of what you're about to say. Like, sorry.
No, you're good.
Like, that's the thing. There's no answers to like any of this shit.
Yeah.
That's why you're thinking about it the whole time. Like, think about it like this. If there was a solution to any of these problems we had, like, people are smart. Like, we would figure out a solution. But there's no solutions to like, there's no like black and white solutions to like these like problems we have in the world, or like problems that you have in your life, you know.
In my outline, this section is labeled as philosophy.
Yeah.
And it's like philosophy is like, I feel like there's so many definitions, but it's almost like the study of things that are unanswerable.
Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting to like dive into those topics. I think a lot of the things is like when you see these celebrities who are like, I was just like in this like chamber for a week and like I was just doing this ritual. You know, the thing is like I'm not saying that's like don't do that, but like it's just like you know, they've completed the game, the video game of success.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're off on these like finishing off the side quests in that video game, or just doing a bunch of random shit.
Yeah.
You know, and that getting to that point kind of freaks me out, and it's almost like it's actually almost detrimental because I'm like, do I just want to like be as normal as possible and just literally just like go under the radar my whole life because
the realm.
Yeah, like so I don't have to like get to this scary point. But the thing is that like I don't know, like my life's whatever's gonna happen in my life's gonna happen. I'll find a way to like deal with it. But I'll just say this, that I really like cars, so like I want to be able to, however the heck it happens, you know, like hopefully it'd be for my music. I'll always make music no matter what it is, but like I want to be able to afford like cars because I just enjoy cars and like I would love to. Like, I don't even care about having a big house. Like, if I got rich, like, I would just have, like, honestly, your house, I was thinking about this, like, you have, like, a perfect house. Like, not saying, I mean, to anyone, I'm not saying, a small house or anything, like, small or huge or whatever. It's just set up nice. Like, but I want to have, like, a nice, cozy house and just, like, a big garage and, like, be able to have, like, these cars that I enjoy to drive. That's, like, what I want at this point, like, in my life, if I'm talking about, like, physical things, you know? So, like, that's kind of actually... I missed out on that when you asked me what I feel like what drives me. It's like, yeah, I want to like literally I want to buy cars. That's a big part of it. I want to buy cars, you know, like, yeah, if we're talking about an aspect of that, that's not the whole thing, but you know,
I think it's natural to have a lot of different drives and I think I like what you say. It's scary to think about getting to that point.
Yeah.
I always bring up, I probably brought it up before, but there's the example of the Tyson Fury, the heavyweight boxer, is this guy, I think the story goes something like when he was in his early 20s, he was like, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to fight my way, and I'm going to beat Klitschko, who is I think he might be Ukrainian, I'm not sure, but he was the heavyweight champion in boxing, and then Tyson Fury takes his years and fights and he goes through and then he goes and he beats Klitschko. But before the fight, he did this interview with someone. They're like, how are you going to feel like when you win or if you win? And he's like, well, I'll probably be really depressed.
Yeah.
And it's
honestly, I've seen this.
It's like, it's such a crazy thing for someone to say. But then you think about it, he's like, I have done the goal that was my goal in my mind. And then afterwards he fell off completely and I think eventually he lost his belts because he wasn't fighting anymore. He gained like a ton of weight, was like super unhealthy, and there's this whole crazy story about like him. I think he literally said that the like wake up moment, he'd had so many moments where he thought he was going to get back into it and start running again, and it never worked. It was like trying to quit like a addictive substance or something, where he's just, and then he's like, at some point he went to a Halloween party, realized he like knew no one there, and he was in like a skeleton suit, and he's like, I weighed like 400 pounds, and then he went home and looked in the mirror and he took off the suit and he was like naked and just cried. And that it was like, that was like this crazy point in his life. But then he like told his wife, like, he's like, I'm going to get back into it or something. And then she's like, okay, because she's heard it so many times. But then he comes back and then he's the champion of the world again. Like he fought his way back in, and like it's also, there's a really good documentary on it on YouTube, but it is like first fight back, I think he went the whole fight and like basically outboxed Deontay Wilder, who's like one of the hardest, if not the hardest hitter in boxing history. And he like outboxed him for the whole fight and then got his lights out in like the last round. And there's like, he just looked like dead on the canvas, but then like just pops back up randomly out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell? Like, how did he come back from that? And then he gets up and he's fighting like nothing happened. And it was just, it's such a cool story and then I think he had like some really positive messages after, but I'm not even that into boxing.
Yeah.
But that story is like,
that's a great story, because like here's the thing is that like that's just the path. I think that's just like the path of life. Like you fall off sometimes. You fall off from like whether you're like thrown is you working at frickin', like whether your throne is at where it's at right now. Like if you're like, say like whatever you're doing right now is just like, or you know what, I feel like, well, to be to be on your throne is you have to do something that you feel accomplished with. If you do that, and then you fall off afterwards, that's just kind of maybe like, if you choose it, or if it just happens, or you try to like make something that's unnatural, and it's like people don't like it or whatever, you don't like it, and you let yourself go, there's a comeback story to life. And I think that's cool. Is that like, yeah, it's like, you guys don't think I can make music anymore? All right. Like, you guys think I couldn't make an album anymore? All right. Like, watch me do this. And then you show everyone. And the thing is that's like, it's kind of screwed up, because you're like, in your head, you're like, it shouldn't matter what these people say, but also you kind of want to prove to people, like, it's very primal.
Well, like there's the thing with, I think what I learned from that story is like you have to be very careful not to tie your happiness to an idea of like success or something. Because there's a lot of things where like it sort of relates to the idea of like pushing for the next thing all the time. And there's problems that I feel like can come with that. But at the same time, if you just set like, oh, this is the final thing, then it can be kind of, you can put yourself in a different kind of trap. But I think that one of the things that relates a little bit to this is I've been thinking a lot about like optimization. You mentioned something about them like a celebrity going off and like living in a cave. I've been trying to get more into like meditation and just taking time to like not even think, but just like do nothing and like not be trying to do anything. Like, because you can wear yourself out with like the funny thing about meditation that I realized is you can wear yourself out with how much thinking you're doing, and you do so much. Like even while meditating, it's like I'm so much more aware of how quickly my thoughts are moving. But I have this, with that idea of constantly pushing for the next thing, I sometimes wonder if I myself or if people in society are trying to optimize our lives too much. Like, I don't like using a lot of social media, and I think some level of that is just to get time back in my day, but it's also like, how much do I really want to spend on just vastly trying to optimize what I'm able to do with my day? Like, when sometimes I think it's just better to just kind of experience life and not always be pushing for the greatest ability. And
well, I think that goes right, like, this is a great little like circle back movement to what I was talking about, like when you asked me like, how do I deal with like burnout, and how do I deal with like when I can't find inspiration, is that like I've learned that it's just okay to just, not everything has to be this big tactical like fucking mission, like I can just, do nothing. There was, dude, it's been a long time. It's been like, it was like a couple of years, like where like, honestly, it was a long time. I'd say like, I don't know when the last time it was, like, that there was days where like, I think like days like literally where I stayed home and did nothing. I've like, because it helped me get out of a depression I had like a while ago, I used to just like, I was like, I have to leave the house every day and like do stuff. And I kind of got trapped into that, where I just be always like literally just doing stuff until I had to get back home and go to sleep. Just like keep myself feeling good. But like just recently, I'm like, Sundays are nice to just like, dude, Sundays, like fall asleep on the couch, like Saturday night, fall asleep on the couch, wake up on the couch, and just like, I'll just turn on a baseball game and just watch baseball and like fucking eat Takis and like literally just like do nothing. And like, it's gross kind of, but like it's like refreshing. It's so refreshing. And like being okay with that like is an important thing, because there's also periods of your life where like you're gonna like when I'm not very inspired, like I just need to go home and just, dude,
try to be healthy.
Yeah, just try to be healthy. Like honestly, even like video games, regardless if you think they're healthy or not, like even just like, because I don't really play video games as much as I would like to, honestly. I love video games, but I don't have a console right now, but like even just like literally just like because like saying like that's something I wouldn't normally like be doing is playing video games every night. Like there's phases where like it's okay, just play fucking video games, or,
Yeah.
like, like just hang out at your house and go on a nice little walk or something, but you just might feel comfortable just laying under your sheets. Like it's okay to feel like that, I think. But also like once you know it's time, like your body's gonna tell you like, damn, this is boring now or whatever, like, and you're gonna want to go out and do stuff. So like it'll naturally just do that. Like it's like your emotions are controlling you. Like, like you gotta learn to like it's not something that I've like it's not something that I've mastered. Like I don't know if we'll ever be able to master this, but like your emotions control you, but you have to like learn how you receive your emotion, or you have to like learn how to receive your emotions, how they affect your day, and like it helps you like steer the ship a little better,
There's some stuff I've learned from various things. I feel like about instead of trying to the ways to try and avoid getting caught up in your emotions is like trying to perceive them like you're external from them, like almost like in a weird way. I think you can literally visualize like looking at your emotion or feeling where your emotions are in your body, and that can sometimes be, at least for me, a method that can like help me understand what's going on. But yeah,
I had a question for you. I'm just curious because this is something that I don't know if I've figured out yet for myself, but like because everyone I think has this idea of themselves and like has this idea of like how people want to view them. Like what do you want? How do you want people to view you? And what do you want to do to make people view you like that? But what's stopping you from doing that? Because you have to have that, because if you're thinking, like, I want people to make me think like that, then you probably are thinking that people don't view you like that and you're not doing something, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I think there's a few things, I guess. Are you talking from like a creative perspective or
like creatively?
Creative perspective, it's probably the brighter side of things, I would think, but I don't know if it's I think I talked about it with Noah, and I think it was episode 7, just the idea of like one of my fears with like sharing writing is, or something, is that somebody will like it's a part of you. It's I feel like for me, my writing is inherently, even if it's a different story, like there is some part of me that is inherently self-referential, or at least in order to be able to write, I have to have a conscious experience that allows me to do that.
Of course.
That's like the most abstract way I could put it, but it's, and I think with that, it's like part of the fear is that you don't want it to be boring. And I think that's something in my head that I think is maybe like it's not what I want. It's the opposite of what I want people to think of me as, is boring. And but sometimes I feel like I am boring, or I feel like the content that I put out is kind of boring, and that's a troubling thing. But I think at the same time, I try to find other motivators for it. Like with the podcast, a large reason why I had that is just I wanted to have deeper conversations with my friends that I don't always get to have. And but I think if there's another element to it, it's, I don't know that I really want to be necessarily perceived in a specific way, but I want to, like I said, entertain and give people either something to relate to or understanding what I am struggling with, and then maybe that can help them with something. Like I don't think maybe writing is like the actual way, or making a movie is like the way to help people. I think it's kind of maybe a little bit narcissistic.
I think it helps people, if that makes you feel any better. Me personally, I think it helps people, but
it's funny, you made me right there, because I feel like I have watched movies and read things that have helped me in some way, and I think that's sort of the dream. And I think what stops me from getting there is, at least when I was making my movie, I Promise I Won't Waste Your Time, it's pretty much in the title. It's like I'd say the thought in the back of my head in making that movie is that if it's called I Promise I Won't Waste Your Time. It can't be boring because then I
Yeah.
wasted people's
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
But it's if it ends, like, basically I was thinking that I needed to be entertaining, but I needed to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that kept me going through that process. Was every time I had an idea, or honestly more so every time I had an idea that I was like, no, I don't know if I can do that, or I don't know if I can handle doing that, or I want to do it. I was like, well, is that like what I'm actually thinking about? Is that what I'm actually like, am I being genuine with this? And I was like, if the answer to that question is yes, then I'm like, I have to do it. I can't not put this in the movie because it's what is supposed to be in the movie, which is me on like a platter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that holds me back on some stuff. And I think honestly with writing, a lot of it is just worrying about being good.
Yeah.
At the base level. I think or worrying about having something to say. And I think that was a big thing with like filmmaking stuff. For a while I was so desperate to have something to say, when the reality was that I think I would have been better off realizing that I just needed to, instead of trying to do things over and over to try and make something to say, I should think about what I actually have that I already want to put out there. And that's what, or wait, maybe not wait for that to come to me. Because I think with writing, I very much don't do that. With writing, I very much just kind of throw things out there. But I definitely think there's a lot of self-doubt things that hold me back, but it's also just luck. And I understand that if I want my projects to go somewhere, it's like, or like you talk about having people listen to your stuff, and I'm like, I would love for tons of people to look at my work and or watch my movie. Like it just spirals into some spike where it's like, oh, it hits the algorithm on YouTube or something. And but some part of me that's holding me back there, I don't know if I think some part of it is laziness, and some part of it's stubbornness with not wanting to promote my own work. And I don't like using social media very much in the first place. And so trying to find ways to promote my work when I would kind of rather just create and put it out there, I think that holds me back a bit. But I think a lot of, with writing and stuff, it's worrying about being boring and worrying about it not, or sometimes when I write or make something, there's a good filmmaker, I don't remember who it was in this video, that said like, my measure of success in a movie is what percentage of it makes it to the final product that is what I actually intended. And he talks about how complicated it is in a movie aspect of like if you get 10% of what you originally intended, that's great. That's like a pretty decent level. Maybe if you're a director, producer, like indie creator, maybe it's more. But even in writing, just the process of getting things out of your head and onto a page, like it's not like you don't have a cord plugged into you that's just streamlining your thoughts and then editing them as they go on the page. You have to,
craft it.
Yeah. And it's, and I think that when you're having a good writing day, you're in the flow and you do that, and it just kind of comes out, but it doesn't always do that. And I think I get worried about putting my work out there and it's like stilted or whatever. But and I do have a certain level of faith in my stuff and my abilities, but I guess I just don't always know that it's worth sharing sometimes, or that it's there's a whole lot of stuff wrapped into that. But I think that's kind of the long-winded summary.
It's funny because I pretty much feel the same exact way, and I feel like everybody that tries to do creative stuff feels like that's the one question that I feel like everyone just kind of feels the same. Like they almost like have like the same, like maybe there's some variations, but it's like they kind of like the same answers. Like when you're first starting out, like, does my stuff, like, does this matter? Like, I want people to like it. Like, it's just funny because like we all kind of started out with like, I mean, there's definitely some people who are brave and just like, they don't give a shit, I guess, maybe, I don't know. But it's just like funny because we all kind of started out on the same playing field, like artists, you know, and then like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of proof that like, I don't know, like why not just try it?
Yeah. I think that's kind of my mentality with stuff.
Yeah. And that's definitely where I'm at right now. So
Sweet.
yeah.
I think that's a good spot to wrap up. Do you have anything you want to plug for your music?
I don't know. People like I'm not on social media right now, but people will hear it. Like you'll like if you're watching this, you'll like I'm sure you'll like be able to like I'll get a hold of you somehow. You know, like I'll reach you somehow from this. But you know, my name's Dominic Corridori, Dominic. Oh, it's gonna be spelled. Well, I'm an idiot, you know.
I can throw it in the description.
Yeah, like you'll just see, you know, like, or just look up my name. If it, like, say you listen to this 6 months from now and you have no idea who I am, just look up my name from like literally the title and you'll see my music. But like plugs, I don't know, just be on the lookout for my music. And I can give a few shout outs to Sam Bodie, my friend Kobe. He just made a really dope album. Bonjour. I would love for everyone to check that out. Like, I think that album's perfect.
Sweet.
For a plug, yeah. Shout out to Ernesto and shout out to Jonah. those are my little plugs.
Sweet.
Yeah. Shout out to Corbin too. Sorry, I almost forgot.
No, you're good.
And shout out to Kevin for having me on here.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
This is great.
Hope you all enjoyed.